Hello there, everyone. My name is Josh. Some of you may know me as one of the hosts on what was the Dumpster Fire here on AIM Student Radio, the way radio should be. The Dumpster Fire will continue, but that will be on Thursdays with myself and Dax. Hope to see you all there. But right now, I'd like to go ahead and welcome you to this solo show that I've had an idea for the longest time, and now I'm actually going ahead and doing it and recording it. So I welcome you all to Talking Smarks. In this show, I will be discussing primarily the wacky world of the professional wrestling industry. I will primarily be covering the guys and gals of All Elite Wrestling, currently my favorite promotion now for the last 3 years or so, as well as the stars of New Japan Pro Wrestling, with the occasional tidbit regarding WWE and whatever they have going on over there. I just ask that you stay tuned here with me as I go ahead and discuss the absolutely incredible pay-per-view that was done this Sunday by All Elite Wrestling, Double or Nothing 2022. Absolutely stacked show, top to bottom. I ask that you join me as I recap the entire pay-per-view from the buy-in all the way to the main event. And welcome back to AIM's Student Radio, the way radio should be, and welcome back to Talking Smarks. Let's go ahead and get right back into the action with AEW Double or Nothing this past weekend from a sold-out T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'll go ahead and start with talking about the buy-in here. This was about 30 minutes before the pay-per-view started, just a way to get the crowd fired up, encourage people watching on TV to order the pay-per-view. The buy-in match was Hook and Danhausen, also known as Hookhausen, very nice, very evil, against the team of Tony Nese and Smart Mark Sterling. This was a fun little match. I want to say it was maybe less than 10 minutes from start to finish at the end of the day. It is the buy-in. It's just meant to get people excited. Hook and Danhausen are very over. That means they are very popular with the crowd as they were making their entrances and doing their moves in the ring. Crowd standing up, cheering, screaming, hollering, you name it. The winners of this match were Hook and Danhausen, with Danhausen scoring the pin. This was followed by the beginning of the main card, which was indeed on pay-per-view, and it began with the match of MJF versus Wardlow, the stipulation being if Wardlow beats MJF, Wardlow would no longer be bound to MJF's contract, which meant that MJF could do whatever he wanted to Wardlow, decide when he got title opportunities, when he didn't, as well as if Wardlow ever won any title, he had to give it up to MJF in the context of the storyline. But there was some real drama here, folks. Prior to the pay-per-view, this was not part of the event. The day before the show, at the Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas, AEW was doing a fan fest as well as a meet and greet where fans could pay to meet the wrestlers and get their autographs. And allegedly, MJF did not show up. He was scheduled to appear. People could purchase tickets to meet MJF and get autographs. He legitimately no-showed the meet and greet. He was spotted allegedly by fans just gambling inside the Mandalay Bay Casino. And the story takes an even crazier turn, as it was reported later on by sources within the wrestling community that a flight out of Las Vegas was reportedly booked for MJF. So it seemed like he perhaps wasn't even going to be on the show, which would have thrown this match with Wardlow completely up in the air. But as the show started, MJF's music played. He showed up. The crowd audibly chanting, he showed up. However, this match didn't end up being a full-on 20-minute plus long drawn out affair like many of us thought it would. It was a squash match. Wardlow brutalized the daylights out of MJF, hit him with 10 power bombs in a row, just non-stop. for an easy pin. MJF, in the context of the storyline, was then put on a stretcher and taken out of the arena. It was revealed later on that he left the arena quickly after the match. The stretcher bit was just for the people watching on TV at home, and this was more than likely AEW's way of writing off MJF from TV appearances for a while, because at the end of the day, people did pay to see MJF. They paid money to meet him, and he no-showed, and there doesn't appear, at least for now, to have been any real good reason for it. So this might potentially be his punishment, so to speak, that he's just not going to be on TV for a couple of weeks. This was immediately followed by the dream match of the Hardy Boys versus the Young Bucks. The Hardys were the dominant tag team of the late 90s and early 2000s. They popularized very much the tables, and they were one of the main components of the early TLC matches, which is tables, ladders, and chairs. They are known for their extreme high-risk maneuvers, jumping off ladders, going through tables. They were absolute stuntmen, with the Young Bucks being the tag team considered by many to be one of the best tag teams, if not the best tag team of the 2010s. And a lot of their style, their wrestling maneuvers, their high-risk offense can be directly traced to the Hardy Boys. They even somewhat dress like the Hardy Boys. And the Young Bucks actually took it one step further this past Friday on AEW Rampage, where they came out to the Hardy Boys music. They came dressed out like the Hardy Boys, and they brought out Gangrel, who was the old manager of the Hardy Boys back in the day, just to poke fun at them, get everybody hyped up for the match. This was an utterly incredible match. It had a couple of dangerous looking spots. Wow, I apologize. That was a little bit of an awkward pause there. Jeff Hardy, both Jeff and Matt, I mean, they're getting kind of up there in age. I will admit, I was legitimately concerned for them after the match. They looked like they went through a car crash, which, I mean, if you've been wrestling for that long, anybody's going to be walking like that. But it was an incredible finish. The Hardys got the win. Utterly great match, something I never thought I'd ever see at this level on pay-per-view, especially at this stage in the Hardys' career, so props to them. This was immediately followed by a clip of the tag teams of The Acclaimed as well as the Gun Club just partying around Las Vegas, followed by Billy Gunn, who is the father of Austin and Colton Gunn, walking into a hotel room and finding The Acclaimed as well as the Gun Club completely passed out in their hotel. This was immediately followed by the match for the TBS Championship. This was between Anna Jay as well as their champion Jade Cargill. Both of these ladies had faced off a few months ago on AEW Rampage in a great match. So it only made sense to run it back, but this time on a much bigger stage on pay-per-view. Anna Jay came out wearing gear that was a little bit of a throwback to her original character in AEW when she first started, which was the star of the show, kind of a hybrid between a magician and Zatanna from the X-Men series. Jade got a phenomenal entrance, had showgirls coming out for her entrance, the lights, the pyro, the baddie section, which consisted of Kiera Hogan and Red Velvet. Jade won in an incredibly physical match, followed by the baddie section, Kiera Hogan, of course, and Red Velvet, jumping in to jump Anna Jay after the bell had rung, just to kind of send a message. This was followed by Chris Statlander, another one of the ladies on the AEW roster, coming in to basically bail Anna Jay out of trouble. This was immediately followed by the debut of Ember Moon, now Athena, the former Ember Moon in WWE, making her AEW debut, long promised after months and months of speculation. She came in. It appears that she has aligned herself with Chris Statlander and Anna Jay, and we'll see where this goes. It could lead to a trios match. And welcome back to Talking Smarks here on Ames Student Radio, the way radio should be. We're going to go ahead and bring it back here to our recap of AEW Double or Nothing this past Sunday in Las Vegas. After the Anna Jay and Jade Cargill match for the TBS Championship, up next we have the House of Black, which is the stable of Malachi Black, Buddy Matthews, and Brody King, versus the team of the Death Triangle, which is Rey Fénix, Penta El Cero Miedo, and Pac. Obviously, for radio reasons, I cannot say his full name, so I'm just not going to. Death Triangle got a special entrance with a little mini Penta, or I should say, a little baby that might have been Penta's child, I'm unsure, but they had a little person in a Penta El Cero Miedo costume coming out with them. I'm pretty sure it was his kid. I'd have to look back to confirm. Also, incredible trios match, both teams at the top of their game. After a long fought battle, the House of Black did win. There was an angle that had been teased for the longest time. A few months ago, Julia Hart, who was the cheerleader for the Varsity Blondes tag team, had been sprayed with black mist by Malachi Black. And throughout the preceding months, her behavior and demeanor began to change, as well as her eye having become essentially black. It had this dark kind of eerie, gross look to it. And finally, the moment that many of us had been waiting for, Julia Hart made her presence known at the end of the match, sprayed black mist into Pac's eyes, leading to the distraction for the House of Black to win. So it appears to be official. Julia Hart is now the newest member of the House of Black. They are truly becoming more and more of a force to be reckoned with in AEW. Finally, we get to the finals of the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. This tournament has been going on for the last about month or so. In AEW, you had your qualifying matches, your semifinals, and we got to the finals, which was Adam Cole versus Samoa Joe on the men's side of the bracket. Adam Cole coming out wearing pink Owen Hart inspired gear. Also a very physical and technical showcase of a match, both men delivering some great offense throughout. At the end of the day, Adam Cole won, so he was the winner of the men's side of the Owen Hart bracket. This was immediately followed by the final on the women's side of the bracket for the Owen Hart Foundation tournament, which was between Ruby Soho and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. I had to do it. Britt had a special entrance with Rich Ward, who is the guitarist of Fozzy, which is the band led by also AEW superstar Chris Jericho. Rich Ward came out to do a nice little solo while playing Britt to the ring, only to be outdone by Ruby Soho, who is very good friends with Lars Frederiksen of Rancid. Rancid came out during the show to play Ruby Soho, which is coincidentally her theme song, to the ring. Utterly awesome moment. Rancid, obviously, they're legends. In a pretty hard-fought match, which had a lot of shades of their original match back at AEW Dynamite Grand Slam in Arthur Ashe Stadium in New York back in August. Wow, I'm getting all my dates mixed up. Or it might have been September. No, it was September. I can't talk today. Britt won, and she was also sporting the pink Owen Hart inspired gear. So you had Adam Cole and Britt Baker, who coincidentally are dating in real life. Both of them were the winners of the men's and women's side of the Owen Hart tournament. They each got their own special belts to commemorate the occasion, as well as it appears that their names are going to be inscribed on the Owen Hart Cup tournament, because this is going to be a yearly tournament from here on in. Utterly incredible matches, both of them. Up next, we have the trios match of Sammy Guevara, Ty Conti, and Frankie Kazarian versus the team of All Ego, Ethan Page, Scorpio Sky, and the debuting Paige Van Zant. Ty Conti came out sporting this gear that was certainly inspired by Maleficent. Both Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti are in a real life relationship, but they've been playing the role on TV as just the obnoxious high school couple. And you know the couple, you've seen them. The couple that cannot get their hands off of each other for more than 5 seconds. Obviously drawing much ire, much heat from the fans. They play their roles to perfection here. American Top Team, which was the team of All Ego Ethan Page, Scorpio Sky, and Paige Van Zandt, ended up winning in a pretty fun little back and forth match. The finish ended up coming a little bit after this kind of scary moment where Frankie Kazarian and Sammy Guevara were arguing back and forth. Sammy tries to go for a super kick on Kazarian. Kazarian ducks out of the way, and Ty Conti, his real-life girlfriend, accidentally eats a super kick. He's probably banished to the couch or the doghouse for who knows how long. Paige Van Zandt, for this being her first professional wrestling match ever, looked incredibly good. Obviously, her skill in the world of mixed martial arts is great. Wow, I apologize. I really cannot talk today. But hopefully this storyline with these teams has finally come to a close. It appears that it is per the stipulation. If the American Top Team won, as long as Scorpio Sky is the TNT champion, neither Sammy Guevara or Frankie Kazarian can challenge once more for the title. So hopefully we get on to some new fresh storylines. These two teams have been on this storyline for months now. If anything, I'm glad that it's over. Not saying that it was bad, but they need fresh blood. They need fresh opponents. And welcome back to Talking Smarks here on Ames Student Radio, the way radio should be. Before I get back to our review of AEW Double or Nothing, let's just go ahead and get a quick check of your weather here. Wow. I could have done that better. In Loveland right now, we are looking at 51 degrees with a low of 43, showers in the vicinity, gusts of 5 miles an hour. Windsor currently looking at 51 with a low of 42, no wind. It looks like they have a rain shower going on out there right now. Stay dry, y'all. Fort Lupton, we're looking at 58 degrees with a low of 43, also currently a rain shower. And last but not least, here in Greeley, we are currently looking at 53 degrees with a low of 43, also a rain shower and wind gusts of up to 5 miles an hour. It's been pretty rainy the last few days, but that's okay. We need the moisture. We do not need another crazy wildfire season. And now let's go ahead and bring it back to our review of AEW Double or Nothing. Next match, we have the incredibly physical and also very last minute match. This match was not announced for Double or Nothing until this past Friday's Rampage, so less than 48 hours before the show, but we had Darby Allin versus Kyle O'Reilly in an incredible physical match. Both men are extremely gifted. Both have quite a tolerance for punishment. Kyle O'Reilly is honestly one of the most... How do I say this? Gotta think of the words. I would not want to be in the ring with Kyle O'Reilly. I will get my head kicked clean off my shoulders. Darby Allin is a daredevil. He has just this never say die charisma about him, and he has done some absolutely terrifying moves in a wrestling ring. I wouldn't want to face him in the ring either. I'd get demolished. Honestly, I can't wrestle to save my life. That's why I'm back here talking on the microphone. There was one absolutely terrifying moment a few minutes into the match. Darby went for his trademark dive to the outside of the ring, going through the middle rope, it looks like his foot ended up catching the rope, which led to him losing control, and as he was going for the dive, essentially dropped himself on his head. It looked terrifying. I watched this pay-per-view live, and Darby didn't move for a couple of seconds, and we were all collectively gasping our breath going, oh no, is he okay? Because Darby has a history of these just insanely scary looking spots. Kyle O'Reilly did end up winning the match. It was very, I wouldn't want to be in the ring with either of them. I would get turned into goo. This was followed by the AEW Women's Championship match between Serena Deeb and Thunder Rosa. Both of these women are two of the most technically gifted women's wrestlers on the AEW women's roster, and this was just a technical showcase. Stiff shots, beautiful grappling and submission maneuvers. All in all, this was probably the best women's match of the night. Not throwing any shade at any of the other women's matches, but both Serena and Thunder Rosa just took it to another level. I'm hoping that we get to see them run it back at least one more time, maybe in the confines of maybe a street fight or a steel cage. That would be great. In another show of goodwill by Thunder Rosa, she's done so much, honestly, for AEW and for the women's division, but she took it one step further. She was wearing this very festive floral gear during her show, kind of had a Katrina vibe going with it, and it was announced later on that she is going to sell that gear at auction, with the proceeds going to families affected by the recent Uvalde tragedy. So obviously got to give props to Thunder Rosa for doing that and showing her support for the families that she is from. She lives in Texas. This was followed by the Anarchy in the Arena match, and Anarchy it was. Here we had the Jericho Appreciation Society, which consisted of Chris Jericho, Jake Hager, Daniel Garcia, and I cannot remember their new names for the life of me. The members of 2.0 going up against the members of the Blackpool Combat Club, which is Jon Moxley, Bryan Danielson, also teaming up with Eddie Kingston, Santana, and Ortiz. This was a very bloody fight. They called it Anarchy in the Arena for a reason, as much of the action was taking place not so much in the ring, but just spread throughout the crowd. This was essentially not a continuation of these Stadium Stampede matches from prior years, but this was very much it was a bloody war. Table spots, barbed wire, chairs, you had everything in this match. And to make it even crazier, they had a wild thing, which was Jon Moxley's entrance music just playing on a loop for the first few minutes of the match. Meanwhile, both teams are just beating the daylights out of each other. And in an utterly terrifying spot, Eddie Kingston legitimately terrified me here. He comes out covered in blood, wielding a gas can, makes his way to the ring with a very scary look on his face, pours some of that gasoline onto Chris Jericho, and we're all thinking, no, there is no way. Like, that is going way too far. Bryan Danielson ended up having to actually make the stop because Eddie Kingston, his character, is a wild man. I mean, the look on Kingston's face had me very terrified. I had to wonder, like, wait, is this real life? Is this just wrestling? What's going on here? This was followed by a video package with Andrade, who's kind of been having a little bit of a up and down spell with the group that he inherited, now the Andrade Family Office. He announces that the Andrade Family Office is no more. He has a new business partner, which is revealed to be none other than Roosh. This has been, I'm guessing, in the works for some time, and I just can't wait to see what these two will do in the ring. They're going to tear it up. This was followed by a brief announcement from Scorpio Sky. Wow, I could have done that even better. In short, it's going to be Scorpio Sky and Dante Martin this Wednesday on Dynamite live from the Forum in LA for the TNT title. So we got our wish. We got new blood. Finally, a new storylines going in for the TNT title. Finally, with our penultimate match of the evening, the three-way for the AEW World Tag Team titles. This was the teams of Swerve in Our Glory, which is the team of the Limitless Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland. Wow, I need to get some more sleep, folks. Followed by the contingent from Team Taz, which was the team of Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs, followed by against the champions Jurassic Express, which was Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. This was a fun back and forth match. I honestly wish it could have gone on a little bit longer, even though the pay-per-view was running a bit late by this point. Jurassic Express retains the title. I have a feeling that their reign is just going to be coming to an end potentially here pretty soon. The Christian Cage, their manager, has been showing some kind of suspicious signs, which makes me wonder if this is truly the end of their reign. Only time will tell. Finally, the main event, the thing we've all been waiting for. CM Punk, whose shirt I happen to be wearing right now, versus Hangman Page for the AEW World title. Both men have been taking shots at one another over the last few weeks, stealing each other's finishing moves, dropping some absolutely fiery promos at one another. Again, this was another one of those moments where it was hard to tell what was real and what was part of the show. I originally went into this match thinking one of these men is going to turn heel, which means a bad guy. The finish of the match was surprising, for me to say the least. Hangman appears to be potentially going heel. I thought to myself, wait, is he going to lose it? Is he going to become the bad guy? He teases taking the AEW Championship belt and hitting CM Punk in the head. But at the end of the day, he chooses he's not going to go out like that. He's going to go out with dignity, with honor. But at the end of the day, it was all for naught. Punk countered, or my apologies, Punk capitalized on this brief moment of hesitancy from Hangman Page, picks him up, hits him with the GTS for the win. CM Punk is your new AEW World Champion. This was utterly insane for me. Not just the fact that if you would have told me at this time last year that CM Punk would be back in wrestling after 7 years, I would have said, there's no way. It's a fever dream. There's no way he's coming back. But it happened. The first dance in Chicago. A sold-out United Center. Punk returned in one of the absolute most cathartic moments, perhaps in just the entire history of the wrestling business. He's had incredible matches with Dax Harwood, not with Bryan Danielson, not yet, with Eddie Kingston. Oh, those two, I could honestly watch them wrestle over and over again till the end of time. Dax Harwood, who is really starting to show great signs if he were to go on a singles run outside of his run currently with FTR, which has also been incredible. Dax has Dax could arguably be in the top 3 wrestlers of the year right now. And that's not a joke. If you go back and watch any of Dax's recent matches, he is on fire right now. And that was it. That was the show. That was Double or Nothing 2022. Absolutely incredible show. Vegas was treated to just an incredible night. I should say incredible week of action, because AEW has been there since Wednesday. They did Dynamite. They did Rampage. They did the pay-per-view. They had the Fan Fest. I was in Las Vegas about a month ago. And while watching the broadcasts for all the AEW shows this week, all I could think to myself is, expletive, I should be there right now. And I still stand by that. All the arenas that they were in everywhere that they went to in Vegas, I've seen it all. And wow, I'm kind of rambling at this point. Whatever. I should have been there. Next year, if they are in Vegas, I don't know how I'm going to do it. It's probably going to cost me a lot of money, but I have to be there the whole week. Dynamite, Rampage. If they do a fan fest again, I got to be there. I have to see Double or Nothing live. And I'm not just using that as an excuse to go back to Vegas. If you heard the last few episodes of the Dumpster Fire prior to going on break for summer, I kept talking about Vegas. I love Las Vegas. But that was it. That was our review for Double or Nothing. That was it for this first segment episode thing of Talking Smarks. I promise it'll get better. This is the first one. We're working out all the bugs. But you can follow us on Twitter at Talking Smarks. You can follow myself on Twitter at Wolfie Molina. I hope to have this episode edited and put on YouTube, hopefully either Saturday or Sunday. I promise I'll get on more of a set schedule as these episodes get recorded and edited. And for the following weeks, it's going to be more reviewing just the action from AEW throughout the week. Dynamite and Rampage with the occasional, with obviously AEW's pay-per-views as well. They only do 4 a year. This year appears to be an exception. Coming up at the end of June, we have the long-awaited joint show with New Japan Pro Wrestling, which is called Forbidden Door, taking place in the United Center in Chicago. So we get one more extra pay-per-view in there so far. And I plan on bringing you recaps from all of the shows. And I thank you all for listening. And this has been Talking Smarks.